Hi, I'm Denise Rolark-Barnes of Washington Informer News, and welcome. We are on location at the Martin Luther King Memorial here on the National Mall, and this is just a sneak preview, believe it or not, with all of these residents coming through of the new memorial. And so this is DC Residents Day. This is a day for all of DC, but of course there's so many more people who are here to see this memorial. $114 million has been raised thus far. $6 million still left to complete this memorial of Dr. King. We are standing in front of the Stone of Hope. We came through the Mountain of Despair, and along the wall are 14 of Dr. King's famous quotes from his I Have a Dream speech. So we're glad you could join us, and we've got so much more to share with you. Don't go away.
I first heard of Martin Luther King, Jr. in December of 1955. I was 15 years old, growing up 50 miles south of Montgomery. I heard about Rosa Parks being arrested, and later heard Dr. King speaking on the radio at a mass meeting on a soul station in Montgomery. And he was talking about the philosophy and the discipline of nonviolence, talking about people protesting, standing up, organizing. And his words inspired me.
Through strong perseverance, that anything is possible.
To have a monument of this great leader is a great feat.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. has proven that African Americans are in fact intellectual beings.
The MLK monument represents to me that people have finally realized the greatness that this man has done for us.
The monument is important. On the mall itself there hasn't been a really big monument for African Americans in decades. It being on the mall at that, there's really nothing at the National Mall. Really nothing, and that's huge.
I'll be there, will you?
I'll be there, will you?
I'll be there, will you?
I'll be there, but will you?
Okay, we're here with Vernon Hawkins, who is so many things in Washington, D.C., very involved. But today you're here with us because you are coordinating the march that will be taking place on the day before the memorial is officially open. Can you tell us a little bit about that, Mr. Hawkins?
Yes, I guess about 4 or 5 months ago, Reverend Wilson and Reverend Sharpton decided that in order to really see what Martin is about, we need to replicate the 1963 march that was held here in Washington, D.C., where the rights and voting rights things were really pushed hard. So it's an opportunity here, we thought, with coming in on Saturday to do a march that would give all of our citizens around the country an opportunity to come and explore and really experience this historical event. As I think about 1963 and what that meant for us, when we came out here and put up tents and everything else, we want to make sure that this particular commemoration here really is reflective of what Martin was about and all of those things that he fought for us throughout the year. So Reverend Sharpton with the National Action Network and Reverend Wilson decided that we were going to conduct a march. We're expecting somewhere in the neighborhood between 50,000 and 60,000 people to come and participate in the march on Saturday the 27th. And what we're going to do is really consecrate these grounds. We want to really not only speak to the political and the social issues, but we think that these grounds are so important in this historical moment where the only African American, only citizen has an opportunity to be displayed here on this mall.
We're really happy that you had a chance to come and join us. And for the viewers' perspective who haven't had a chance to come down, we are right across the street from the Lincoln Memorial,
Exactly.
where the famous march was held and the I Have a Dream speech was delivered. And we're also just across from the Jefferson Memorial. So when you say consecrate the grounds, explain to me what that means.
Well, what we want to say is that starting with the Washington Monument on 17th and Independence Avenue, we're going to really stage things there. And we're going to march down the memorial, the Lincoln Memorial, where all of his, this famous speech was made. We're going to march down Independence Avenue and round to this ground, and we're going to be praying and singing, and not only really consecrating these grounds here, where a special service would be held here with ministers from across this country that will have the opportunity to bless these grounds. When we say consecrate, we feel that there's a moral and a spiritual issue behind everything that Martin did. And we feel that that represents the people as well, fighting for the rights and justice for all of us.
Before you go, let me just get one comment. What do you think about the memorial?
I think it's just beautiful. I had an opportunity a week ago just to stand up and reflect back, and it took me back to 1963. But fortunately, I had an opportunity with my daughter to stand on about the 10th step when Martin made that speech. And just to see that we have come this far, some 40 years later, to have it recognized what he was about, I can't think of anything any more historic. And all of us in this country just need to be proud of it. Martin changed the social and political fabric of this country to ensure that all of us were really represented and equal justice. And what Reverend Sharpton and Reverend Wilson is saying, that fight is not over. If we think about what's happening today with the economy, who's not being served, we talk about the health deficiencies existing, we still have to keep that dream alive. That's what this march is all about.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Vernon Hawkins, and we hope to see you all at the march. Of course, if you are seeing this after the show, we want you to know that this has been a fantastic event. We're glad that you were able to join us. Also know that DC residents will be marching for statehood, and that march will lead into Reverend Sharpton's the Jobs March as well. So there's going to be a lot of folks walking down here to this memorial, and then we get here for the official dedication, and we're just glad that we are part of this and to bring it to you.
Just one last thing. I think that, number one, this gives us an opportunity as Washingtonians. It was Washingtonians who set the stage for 1963, and we all ought to come out to see this. I mean, this is historic.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Don't go away.
I'm a lion.
Yes, you are. Come here. Let's see how this looks.
Hey, how's my little horse?
She's a lion.
Yes, she is.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. When you adopt a child from foster care, just being there makes all the difference.
It's been a very long time, too long, but we thank God for this day and that it's here, and that we have an opportunity to honor an American hero, someone who's done so much. Without him, you might not be standing there and I might not be standing here. And the key is that to have it here in the District of Columbia to represent peace, but more importantly, prosperity, I think it's important. You see so many people that are coming out, they're energized, leaving here to go do something, and to do something that's going to better help our society. But now we have the king. And I think the king is a good symbol that know there's someone that wasn't a president and wasn't a war hero, but someone that was a hero to so many people that can bring folks together to really talk about the equality of this country and how that no matter who you are, no matter where you are, you have an opportunity to make a contribution. And I think that's important. And to have it right here facing where it's facing now so everyone can see it coming across the 14th Street Bridge speaks volumes. And it took a long time to get here. And for those that aren't here, that wasn't even sure if this day was possible, you know, that's the moment we should stop to take to reflect for those that fought for this memorial that aren't here to see it.
I think it's wonderful. I love the positioning of it with the Jefferson Memorial there and the Washington Memorial there, and then behind us is the Lincoln Memorial. I think it's very appropriate that he's right here in the middle. And I just have so much admiration for Martin Luther King and all he did, his brilliance and the way he approached things, his kindness, his gentleness, as well as strength. He was a strong man, but he had a heart and a gentle quality.
I was here in the 1963 march with Dr. King. I'm trying to figure out where I was, but I came down from Connecticut with a Jewish friend of mine, and we were not far from him when he spoke, and I saw John Lewis speak. All of them was very impressive, and very emotional, and still very emotional. And then I walked with him from Selma to Montgomery. I was on the Selma to Montgomery March.
Were you on the Independence Bridge?
No, I was not. And I had a very difficult time deciding if I was going to march with Martin Luther King from Selma to Montgomery, because he was in the nonviolent movement, and I'm not a nonviolent person. I mean, I'm not like going to let anyone take a club to me without taking them on. But I think this monument is outstanding, and if Dr. King could be here, he would really appreciate what this stands for and what it does for people who come back and look at it, and for young people coming up, and I just think it's extraordinary.
So in March of 1958, my father drove me to the Greyhound bus station. I boarded the bus, traveled from Troy to Montgomery. And a young African-American lawyer by the name of Fred Gray, who had been a lawyer for Rosa Parks and Dr. King in the Montgomery movement, met me and drove me to the First Baptist Church, pastored by the Reverend Ralph Abernathy, a colleague of Dr. King, and ushered me into the office of the pastor's study of the church. And I saw Martin Luther King Jr. and Ralph Abernathy standing behind the desk. And Dr. King said, "Are you the boy from Troy? Are you John Lewis?" I was so scared. I didn't know what to say or what to do. But I had the courage or the nerve to say something like, "Dr. King, I am John Robert Lewis." And that was the beginning of mine being in the presence of Dr. King. I met him. I admired him. I loved him. He was my inspiration. He became my hero, became my friend, my colleague, my brother in the struggle.
Martin Luther King set the standard for civil rights in this country.
Him planting that seed, not just in me, but in other individuals, kind of gives us the courage to move forward and to demand the equality that we deserve as Americans.
Seeing what he did kind of really just made me say, okay, I can do it. I can be successful.
Martin Luther King fought for rights for all African Americans, and we need a monument to represent his struggle.
This monument is really a symbol for how far we've come in America, and it's a symbol that reaffirms the themes that our founding fathers established in this country.
I'll be there, will you?
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 I live in Brookline, D.C., and you asked me, why I came down or what I thought of it. One of the things that took place, I'm a nurse, and we came down in '63, and it was muddy. Everything was pretty much against us, even the times. But to come down here now and to actually see they've taken a big space for someone who made such a big difference in where we are now. Even for you and I to be standing here, to be able to talk, and for all of us to be here, is something that's totally because of Martin Luther King.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Giles.
Okay,
thank you so
thank
very
you.
much. Okay.
Yes.
I think it's amazing. I know it's been 20 years in the planning, and I'm just so excited that I'm a Washingtonian while it opens. I learned about Dr. King in grade school. I grew up on the West Coast, and we studied civil rights, I think, in 5th or 6th grade, and his story was very inspirational, of course. It was a big part of our curriculum.
On one hand, I think Martin Luther King Jr. would be very pleased with the progress that we've made in our country in race relations. On the other hand, I think he would be very disappointed. He would be dissatisfied and really with a sense of why there's still so much racism. Why do people refer to the first African-American president as a tar baby, a member of Congress? Why would a member of Congress refer to the president or call him out and said, "You lie, you liar"? Or why would some people refer to him as that boy? And other things, Dr. King would say we still have a tremendous distance to travel, to go, before we lay down the burden of race. He would be pleased to see the large number of elected officials, African Americans, Hispanics, Asian Americans, but he would say there's still so much to be done.
Thank you, Dr. King.
Martin Luther King and his efforts improved and expanded otherwise limited rights of Black people in America.
For me, Martin Luther King paved the way to end segregation.
Dr. Martin Luther King affected my life by fighting for all races during the Civil Rights Movement.
The MLK Monument Reveal will capture that essence and represent his maverick-like characteristics that have ever touched our lives.
To have Martin Luther King's monument on the National Mall means that so far Martin's dream has come to some form of reality, but we as a people still have a ways to go.
The monument's establishment not only shows that the country recognizes his achievements, but that we have progressed.
I'll be there, will you?
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 First of all, I want to give, great, plaudits to Harry Johnson and the King Memorial Foundation. They've been working on this in one form or fashion for, 26, 27 years. And Harry Johnson has given probably the better part of the last decade of his life in order to make this happen. So first of all, let's recognize those who work so hard to make this happen. Second of all, I think it is a wonderful monument to a man who gave his life for freedom, gave his life for justice, and people who were never born, even when King was alive, will now have an even a closer understanding of what it meant to be Dr. King. You look at the fact that we have an African-American president for the first time. Frankly, when Dr. King gave his I Have a Dream speech, I really wonder how many people thought that was even possible. So there is hope. There's reason to be optimistic, but we also have to recognize that we have a long path to travel, and these kids need to pick up the baton and carry the baton that Dr. King carried so ably.
Oh gosh, it's just magnificent. It's about time. It makes me, I have hope, but it makes me sad still that we still are fighting a fight of sorts, and I'm just really happy to be here. Oh, I think it has to a large degree, but I don't think we're done yet. I think that there are still people who have prejudice and the wrong idea about how to get along with people, and there's still work to be done, but we've come a long way.
I was telling Ms. Rowlock that when I approached the memorial, I had tears in my eyes, still feel it. It was just such a wonderful testament of Martin Luther King and all the works and sacrifices that he made to get us where we are today. And we still have such a long road ahead of us. So it's a beautiful thing, and I'm just so happy that I'm here to be a part of it.
Okay. I think it's a great thing about Dr. King, what he did for the country, not only for Black America, but he held the whole country together. And I also think it's a great place where they have this monument. He sat between Thomas Jefferson Memorial, which is the Declaration of Independence of slave masters on slaves, and between the Lincoln Memorial during the Civil War. So I think the location is very great historical, in fact, where it is.
The monument is so fitting, so appropriate To see Martin Luther King Jr. standing there, 30 feet tall, between Jefferson and Lincoln. It's Martin Luther King Jr. It's one of the best likenesses of him that I've ever seen. He's strong, he's at peace. In a sense, it's like saying, hello, Mr. Jefferson, I'm here. Hello, President Lincoln. You two did what you could. You made a contribution. On the other hand, I think Dr. King would be embarrassed. This is what is all the fuss about. Why are you putting me here? Why did you put me here? But I think generation yet unborn will come to appreciate this memorial, this monument to a man of peace, a man of love, a man of nonviolence. You know, Martin Luther King Jr. was never, ever elected to any public office. Never a member of the city council, mayor, governor, member of Congress. But he's going to be standing with presidents. I think this memorial will become the most visited memorial on the moon. People from all over the world will come and visit, and they will bring their children. I saw people crying, with tears, looking up at the likeness of Dr. King. And we cried tears of happiness, tears of joy that we've come this far.
When Dr. King made his famous speech, I was 15 years old.
I was raised poorly. I wanted it to go to college. I wanted it to become somebody important.
Martin Luther King inspired me to have the courage and conviction to speak the truth without fear of persecution.
And this was so wonderful that someone of his character could speak and that people listened, that people were moved in this way.
I have 3 young daughters. This will be a nice connection for them in terms of that they're minorities.
The Martin Luther King Monument on the Mall will be a reminder to me that our God-given talents and will to serve others can never be suppressed.
I'll be there, will you?
I'll be there, will you?
Thank you for joining us for this edition, this special edition of Washington Informer News, and for coming down and seeing this wonderful memorial. If you want to know more about the Martin Luther King Memorial, make sure you pick up a copy of the Washington Informer and visit us online at www.washingtoninformer.com, where you can see lots of coverage, our special editions, and you might even see you if you happen to walk past the camera while we were taping. So we hope you had a great time, and come on down to the memorial. Bring your family, bring everyone down, because it will be here and it's a wonderful thing that you don't want to miss. Thank you so much for joining us. See you next time.